The choice to know. Most people assume that if truth really mattered, it would be shouted from the rooftops. That it would arrive complete, undeniable, impossible to miss. But history suggests the opposite. The truths that carry the most consequence are rarely dropped all at once, because released too quickly, they don't awaken a world. They fracture it. So when you hear a phrase like, "the choice to know will be yours," it sounds modern, almost suspiciously so. But that idea is ancient, older than the internet, older than institutions, older than the cycles of collapse themselves. There's a phrase Jesus repeats more than once, almost in passing, yet it hangs there. An important hinge on history. He who has eyes to see, let him see. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. We can mistake that as exclusionary language, as though truth were being hidden from the many and reserved for the few. But that was never his intent. The crowds were right there. The words of truth were spoken openly. Nothing was locked away. What was different, and was what mattered to those who witnessed it, was not access, but readiness. Jesus spoke in parables not to obscure truth, but to pace it, to let revelation land only as deeply as the hearer could bear it without tearing themselves, or the world around them, apart. He understood something we often forget, that truth, delivered without preparation, can do more damage than good. Timing matters. Love governs disclosure. Fast forward to the modern age, where information moves faster than wisdom, and exposure is mistaken for understanding. When you hear the phrase, "the choice to know will be yours," it echoes that same ancient restraint. Not as a threat, not as elitism, but as a modern boundary of awareness. Those of us who are, ready for truth and earnestly seeking truth daily, see that expression all over the place. The choice to know will be yours. We know exactly what it means, and we know that most of us aren't at all ready, lacking the ears to even want to hear, or the eyes to even want to see. I guess that is what motivates me, and the things that I write and share. It's my own effort to try and get people to want to try to truly see, and want to truly hear. It's not at all from a feeling of superiority or need to feel like some kind of smarty pants, but out of a desire to continue God's work in truly building his kingdom. That same kingdom Jesus inspired our founding fathers to lay the foundations upon. Our destiny as free-willed beings made in God's image. And it really isn't at all a doom and gloom kind of knowing. But I digress. So back to the AI-assisted writing. And its even-handed, kind of mamby-pamby, verbose, and yet surprisingly wise, verbiage. In this undeniable great awakening, no one is forced awake. No one is dragged across a psychological or spiritual threshold they don't want to approach willingly. Because awakening that is coerced becomes trauma. Revelation that is rushed fractures families, cultures, faiths, and minds. So knowledge, real knowledge, must remain voluntary. It must be entered into, not imposed. From this perspective, the role isn't dominance or superiority, it's guardianship. It's the uncomfortable position of holding weight while resisting the urge to drop it prematurely. Like parents who know what's coming for their children, but understand that knowing too soon can steal innocence rather than prepare strength. This is not about shock, collapse, or cultural detonation. It's about acclimation, about allowing societies, beliefs, and identities the time they need to metabolize change without imploding. Truth as medicine, not as a bomb. Titrated, measured, given with care. Scripture frames revelation as relational, not informational. You don't simply receive truth, you grow into it. And when Jesus says be careful how you hear, he's not questioning intelligence. He's warning about consequence. To see rightly is to become responsible. The tension, of course, is real. Who decides when the world is ready? When restraint protects, and when it merely delays reckoning? Scripture resolves that tension by placing timing in God's hands. Any human attempt to mirror that posture walks a narrow ridge between mercy and misjudgment. But the pattern itself is ancient, truth seeded, not shouted, revelation unfolding, not detonating, a world being prepared gently for changes it does not yet know how to survive. So the question was never simply whether you can see or hear. The question has always been, what is that seeing making you become? But I'll add the real question that the AI doesn't feel compelled to ask. I guess what seeing has made me become. Ha ha ha. And that is someone who asks, are you ready? Do you even want to try to get ready to see? Do you even want to try to get ready to hear? Of course, the choice to know the answer to that is yours.